Hi guys, I am just powering up for the late afternoon and I hope the music is not too loud. Anyway, I just watched another YouTuber's video about King Charles, whatever. I mean, I don't even know what to call these people anymore. And I do think that Harry, in my opinion, look, and everybody has an opinion, including myself. It doesn't mean I'm right, but um, I think that Harry is still showing signs of being a young man in need of his father's approval. He's not 40 yet, but he's pretty close, and yet he needs his father's approval too much. And I think he needs to make an adjustment, especially after this trip. He absolutely has to make an adjustment because this is happening on the world stage and it's making him look like a little boy, and his father kicking him around and his brother spitting on him and, the rest of them laughing. He needs to stop doing this because he doesn't need to do this. He doesn't need them. He has everything that he needs, and he needs to stop sitting there with his arms outstretched, almost begging for his father's approval. This is the one weakness I see in Harry that I would love to see stop. I could be wrong. I could be seeing things that are not there, but he needs to stop, begging for his father's approval in this way. It needs to stop. Look, Harry stands on the threshold of a new chapter where his past, rooted in royal expectations and family obligations, collide with the freedom he has found across the Atlantic with Meghan and his family. I think this recent snub by King Charles, it feels like there needs to be a seismic shift, where Harry needs to recalibrate. He needs to recalibrate his perceptions. He needs to recalibrate his priorities, right? He needs to recalibrate his decisions. Okay. Now, the Invictus Games service at St. Paul's Cathedral was supposed to serve as, a way to, I guess, see his family again and, whatever. But it's really served as a stark reminder of the huge chasm between Harry and his family. Right? There's a huge divide and it's wider than the Atlantic Ocean. Okay. The royal boycott of these services, orchestrated, by King Charles, I think cuts deeper than just absence, especially with the scheduling of the garden parties and then the announcement that William will be taking to the skies in an Apache after being awarded Harry's medals and Harry's honors, which Harry won from his fights in Afghanistan, right? I think the father here has shown a deliberate act of rejection. He demonstrates a deliberate act of rejection, and it's a painful assertion, as far as I can see, of where Harry stands in the royal hierarchy. Okay, where they are telling him he stands, right? He's like lower than their shoe, right? And they have given the press carte blanche to attack Harry, to rip him to shreds, to kill him, whatever, right? He has to be very careful in his movements, even the trip to Nigeria, because, no one is above anything. And all it takes is one person for the right price. That's what I'm saying, right? So they have to be very careful. It doesn't matter where they're traveling to, right? I think the decision to strip Harry of his military honors and as colonel of, the Air force or whatever it was that they took away from him this time. There's so many ridiculous titles and this and that that's flying around lately that I've lost track, but they took something away from him and gave it to William. And it seems to me that Harry earned his honors through sacrifice and service of his work in Afghanistan. And to bestow that on William, willy-nilly like this, it just further underscores the familial divide. It further underscores this pettiness. It further underscores the hopelessness of Harry ever getting his father's approval or his respect or, quite frankly, his love, right? I mean, at this point, I'm really questioning even more and more whether this man really is Harry's father or not, okay? Because this isn't normal. In the face of such blatant disregard and public humiliation, I think Harry stands at the crossroads. He has to decide, okay? He can cling to the vestiges of a familial bond that seemingly increased. Oh, no, I'm sorry. A familial bond that seemingly has become increasingly doubtful and tenuous, okay? Or he can pivot towards a future that he creates for himself with his wife and his family. I think California, it beckons him with its promise of autonomy and freedom and acceptance and new beginnings and a chance to redefine himself. And he's going to just have to decide whether he wants it or not, or whether he wants to continue to be humiliated in this manner by someone who does not love him. This man does not love Harry. I think his father's actions, quote unquote, his father, because at this point I really just don't know if this is really his father. I have my doubts now. But that said, I think the actions of this person, though deeply hurtful, are a catalyst for Harry to reassess his relationship with the royal family, right? The constant quest for approval, for validation from this person, his quote unquote father, who seems incapable of offering it, has to stop. He needs to stop doing that to himself, right? Harry needs to recognize that his worth extends beyond his father's acknowledgement or lack thereof. Okay? Moreover, I think dwelling on questions of biological parentage only serves to tether Harry to a past fraught with uncertainty and pain. Regardless of genetic ties, family transcends mere biology. It is forged through love, support, and mutual respect. Qualities conspicuously absent in Harry's interactions with this individual named King Charles III. I think that as Harry navigates his new life in California, he has the opportunity to cultivate a chosen family, one built on shared experiences, empathy, and unconditional acceptance. Rather than fixating on what he lacks in his relationship with his quote unquote father, Harry can channel his energies into forging meaningful connections and pursuing endeavors which are aligned with his values and passions, and transferring everything that he is doing in his life, such as the Invictus Games, whatever charities he's working on, that he can move, his own projects to the United States so that he can monitor them without having to go back and forth to England. I don't think it makes any sense anymore. I think that in embracing his new life in California fully, right, Harry can liberate himself from the shackles of royal expectations, and he can chart a course defined by authenticity and self-determination. Okay, I think it's time for him to let go of the longing for approval that tethers him to a past that no longer serves him, and that he should embrace the boundless possibilities that lie ahead instead. Right? He just absolutely must forget about this daddy stuff and approval and my family, and it's just stop, Harry. Honestly, Your family is in California with Megan and your two children and your friends that you're forming. You have the Fab Four with your Polo friends and so on and so forth, like Nachos and Figueroas and so on. Focus on that and just forget the UK. Just forget. Cold turkey, forget. You know, this would be my advice to this young man because I can't stand watching him go through this over and over again, this need for approval and for acceptance, which he clearly is never going to get. And they are enjoying it. I mean, the father is dying of cancer, and these are his parting shots at his son. I mean, he doesn't care. He cannot be, what's the word I'm looking for? You can't change him. Forget him. Leave him. Move on.